Well, next up, we have Narrow-Minded, which is a focus on narrow gauge, and it's the evening shows sort of on narrow gauge. This is a segment hosted by Steve Sherrill, and we're going to feature youth in model railroading, and then Greg is going to go to the Timonium show, is my understanding. So, Steve, welcome.
Thank you, Tom. Thank you. Last week, we kind of reviewed the micro meet in Ransom, West Virginia, on January the 18th. We showed a lot of the micro layouts and a lot of the attendees. One of the layouts we missed was a layout. If you want to show that, show the picture. Thank you. One of the ones we missed was one that I made especially for kids. As you can see here, it's a Thomas the Tank Engine. It's one of the phases of the Thomas where they used slotted tracks so that the engines wouldn't go off the rails. I actually painted this up, painted all the cars, and battery powered that so it would have reverse. The stock locomotive did not have reverse, it just went around in a circle. It could then be controlled, the speed and the direction. So after I put the scenery down, and I tried to use the same techniques I would on a larger layout, detailing it somewhat so that the kids could play with it and do with it what they wanted. So if you show the second slide, here are the children that this layout ended up with. This is George Sarah's grandchildren, and George is an Owen 30 modeler who attended the meet. And I asked him and his wife, Greta, that they would take this and give this to their children. And later I got a call at home thanking me very much for this. And you can just see from the looks on their faces how much they're enjoying this. So this is just one of the things that you can do to enhance children's participation in building trains and enjoying layouts. So I already know that they have moved the trees around. They've created it exactly the way they want it to be. So that was kind of interesting. So now, Greg, if you want to go ahead and start with the Timonium.
All right, thank you, Steve. As many of you know, the Grayscale Model Train Show is held in Timonium 3 times a year. And for the last 4 years, New Tracks Modeling has had a presence there with their scholarship table for as long as they've been doing it. And Steve and I share the duties of hosting that table. This shows it Friday morning. The Model Railroad Club that I'm involved in also usually has sales tables there. And since we have so many, we can get in early Friday morning for the setup. So I was able to set up the New Tracks table in the center hall, which is where most of the organizations have their tables before anyone else had gotten in there. Now, this was our club's table, and we had an unusually large number of donations and consignments that we were selling this time. And I love getting in there early Friday morning. You can really see the place empty. And a little later, when you see it filled up, you'll see what a change that is. Now, on Saturday morning, before the show had opened, but when all the vendors were there, I was at our sales table, and Charlie Roche, Master Model Railroader, who is the superintendent of the Carolina Piedmont Division, came by the sales table and said, "Greg, I've been meaning to see you. I've seen you on New Tracks a number of times." He watches it off and on. And he said, "Is New Tracks going to have a table here?" And I said, "Yeah, Steve's working it today." So I brought him on over, and managed to get a picture of all three of us. Charlie was there working with the NMRA table, a little local divisional table or regional table. And then on Saturday, since Steve was running the table, he had brought in his micro layout here and set it up to attract people to the table. And that way you can tell them about the scholarship program. And it especially brings over a lot of families and children who want to see it. And you can see here a close-ups of a few of the buildings that he has on it and all of the different cars and critters that he had brought along. And I know some of these are printed by Carroll Creek. I don't know how many. And this shows it running. And I also want to point out, this is dead rail. So it just kept running and running. Battery seemed to last all day. And then this shows the entire show on Saturday morning after they let all the attendees in. You can see how crowded it gets. Now, there are 3 halls. This is only one of the 3 halls. This is the South Hall. And then there's the Center Hall and the North Hall. And then on Sunday morning, with Steve gone and his micro layout gone, I set up the television. I ran into a little problem. The batteries that we carry in a bag had decided to explode. And so fortunately, the tool guy at the show carries AAA batteries. So I picked up some new batteries and was fortunate to get the TV working. And we're here among all the other organizations. You have tourist railroads here and authors and other organizations, so we fit right in with those. And then in the North Hall, they have a lot of modular layouts set up. Now, someone who's on the show tonight and is a somewhat regular attender is Jeff Peck. Now, Jeff had his own table, and he was putting together these little Kato mini dioramas. And you might wonder, well, why does he have so many of those? Well, Jeff has gotten together with the county that I'm in, which is Montgomery County, and they're going to be putting on a little promotion down at the B&O Silver Spring Station, which is owned by Montgomery Preservation. And what we've done is set it up so that 10 families have registered, and they'll come in on March 8th, and the mini dioramas are already built, and the children will get to decorate them. And Jeff and a couple of us from the club are bringing in all of the materials that they'll need. And once they've decorated them, we'll hook them all together, just as you see here, in some form of a layout like this. And then we'll run trains on it. And after it's over, the kids get to take those, plus the little booklets that come with them, home. And it's a way to get smaller children interested in model railroading. And I think that's all I have for you, Steve. You want to add anything to what I was saying there?
Yeah, go back to the mini dioramas.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Kato has a program where they're making these available to groups to help children. I think just to introduce them into being a part of a layout, as well as teaching them how to decorate and landscape these things. Now, here is a situation where, rather than have the kids put this together and wait for the glue to dry and all that, they're going to be presented with the opportunity to go ahead and begin landscaping these. And I think, what do you have? 16 here, I believe. And each child will have one, and then they'll get to take it home, and hopefully they will then be a part of a mini diorama group that could get together. You know, you only need, I believe it's 8 of these to make a circle, and they could have their own groups get together. But since they're all coming from probably Montgomery County anyway, they're going to be some of them in the same schools. Now, I believe Winchester Model Railroad Club is going to do the same thing. And so they can now see what it looks like when they're make a layout. Now, they had no power to operate anything on here. And I don't know if, Greg, if you're going to have a transformer hooked up and run something at the station or not. I mean, that certainly would be something that would further the interest. But
yes, I'm not sure about that either. Jeff, if you're able to jump in and tell us, are we going to have power on these?
Is Jeff here?
He was earlier. He may not be now. I believe we're going to have power because he had talked about how we would be able to run trains once they were finished decorating them. And we're making the landscaping simple for them. We'll have trees and grass mats and stuff that they can glue on, and it'll just be like another one of your projects that the kids are familiar with doing in school.
Jeff Jordan is a member of the Winchester Model Railroad Club. Is going to have the same type of meet where they're going to have children at their at when's your show?
That's going to be on March 15th, Saturday, March 15th, at the Moose Lodge in Winchester, Virginia. And we have begun to promote this in our announcements for the train show. And we'll have several people there to assist kids in scenicking their layout. We also, or their mini diorama, and we intend to have one set up and operating at the show as well. Just to mention also, you're correct that Cotto makes these available to clubs and museums and the like. And to get it, all you need to do is go to the Cotto webpage and get their general contact phone number and call them up. There's no link or order procedure on the webpage. You call their contact number, tell them that you're interested in this program, and they will take your order. And at $4 a piece and no charge for shipping. And they got me, a batch of them in a week's time.
No,
And I see Jeff's here now. Jeff, do you know if we're going to have power when we put ours together?
Yes, we will.
Fantastic.
Are you looking for helpers to help the children decorate these and landscape them, or are you just going to let them freelance and do what they want? Give them some hints. Is that what are adults going to be there to help them?
Yes. I'm going to be there. Matt Chabarro is going to be there. Greg is going to be there, and some others from Rockville are going to be there as well.
Will you let volunteers?
Absolutely.
Come and help?
Absolutely.
Because I think I'll probably go to Winchester and help if they'll let me.
Yep. We're planning on that. And we also plan to have several members available to help. And also my wife, who is not a member of the club, but has got a background in early childhood education and does a lot of arts and crafts, has said she's going to come and make sure we keep it at a kid's level.
No rivet counters.
We can't have any fun. That's what you mean? Well, the Timonium show is a very old show. I believe it started like in 75, maybe.
Howard Zane put it together. And ironically, when he first had planned it, he was going to build a building specifically for the Model Railroad Show. And it was going to be in Burtonsville, Maryland. But the land deal fell through, and he rented the Timonium Fairground building, and it's been there ever since.
Now, there was a very large crowd there on Saturday. And, I never realized how large a crowd it was until I looked at the ATM machine and there were 21 people waiting in line to get to the ATM machine. And they ran out of money for the machine and they had to come and service it. So as soon as they announced that it was back in service, you could see people running up there again to get money. So that's always a good sign.
Yeah. I think it's great you guys are supporting the youth because the youth are the future of the hobby. And coincidentally, after our closing, the caboose will feature the DARE program, which was extensive number of model railroads in a single old schoolhouse, and takes children every day in there and variety of scales. I think you'll find it fascinating. Yeah.
Yes.
So,
Well, I think it's all we have tonight, Tom.
well, great job, and appreciate you guys being on the show and supporting New Tracks.